Hi there. Sorry, my cocoa, I just finished making it and I really wanted to have some. I made an announcement on my Instagram that I'm pregnant. At the time I was 3 months pregnant. Now I'm 4 months, so I'll just show you the little baby bump. This is my third pregnancy. Based off of the hashtags that I put on my announcement, there have been people that have been reaching out to me. And so this video is really for them, and then anyone that's just interested in my story about the fact that we had a vasectomy reversal, and this is a pregnancy as a result of that. So I just wanted to briefly explain, because my husband and we were talking about some of the responses that we've received and how like we understand a lot of what they're going through. So my heart was just like pretty heavy, and I said, I should make a video to tell her story. He's like, yeah, go for it. Here it is. I got married when I was 20. I've been married for almost 19 years. We had our first two sons when I was 23 and 25. And then right after having the second son, we got a vasectomy, like pretty much a month and a half later. And I want to explain why we got it, because some people are like, okay, so what? But the problem with this vasectomy that we got, well, that my husband got, I didn't get it, you know. I say we because when I'm pregnant, I say we too. It's just, we've been together so long that it's just we, all right? At the time, we didn't have much money at all, like hardly any money. After our second son, so our sons are 22 months apart. I found out I was pregnant, the oldest being 15 months old. So it was like boom, boom. Therefore, after having the second, we gained pressure from some people saying, you keep having babies, you're like really fertile, you gotta calm down. We are the type of couple where we don't use contraceptives, we don't like them, and it's just our personal, everyone has their own personal opinion about contraceptives. Ours is we just don't want to use them. To avoid getting pregnant with my first child, for instance, we just didn't have sex around ovulation. I knew my schedule that well, and it worked. When we tried, it took 2 months for us to get pregnant. The second one was, we actually did use condoms in between, but my husband was like, I don't like this. And I said, I'm gonna get pregnant, and I got pregnant. Like, I warned him right before. So that's how fertile I was anyway. We got the vasectomy because of the pressure of finances. It cost $450. At the time, we felt like it was a good decision because I just never really enjoyed being pregnant. Like, I enjoy parts of pregnancy. The waiting game is not fun for me. I'd rather give birth and hold the baby and be with the babies. The pains of pregnancy, my first pregnancy was very, very rough. My second one was much easier. It was like, I'm done being pregnant. Because right when you give birth, you're really emotional. And I was really emotional, and your hormones are all crazy, and you say things that you don't even want to say, that you don't even think about. And so that's what I did. And my husband, he's the type of person where he wants to make me happy all the time. He spoils me. He loves me to pieces. So he was like, well, you know what? I'll get a vasectomy. I was like, are you sure? He's like, yeah, it's fine. He went and got it, like I said, a month and a half after the second one was born. 9 months later, as our boys are getting older, we're seeing how amazing they are, and we're like, why did we do the vasectomy? Oh, we should have more. And my husband's like, I always wanted more. And I was like, what did we do? I said, I always wanted at least 3. He's like, I want like 3 or 4 or 5. And I'm like, what was wrong with us? We really did not think things through very well, to be honest. And we were young. We thought we were doing the right thing. We're like, well, what's done is done. And then I started to like research things about reversal surgeries. And I told him, I was like, you know, people, they get reversals. And he's like, okay, well, how much is it? And at that time, in my research, I found that most places in our area, we live in New Jersey, it's an expensive state. So most places in our area, it was over $12,000 for a lot of it. I think there was one that we saw that was like 100,000. I was like, what in the world? The idea of that was crazy. Then I found a place, a facility, they specialize specifically in doing reversal surgeries. And we're like, okay, well, let's see the cost. So I emailed them and they were like, oh, it's $6,000. And I said, okay, cool, $6,000. Do you do like a payment plan? Because that was like a lot of money just hearing 6,000. But compared to the other prices, I was like, that's great. They sent me a welcome packet in case we wanted to join. And they had these stories of people having reversal surgeries. And I was like, oh, these are amazing. These stories, people actually have had success stories. And so I shared it with my husband. I was like, we could do this. And he's like, yeah. But then when I reached out and said, so can we do like a payment plan? How does it work? And they said, no, it has to be 2 payments. So $3,000 each payment. And I was like, we don't have that money. The years go by. I want to save for it. We do our best. I didn't tell people really that I wanted to have this. I didn't tell people that we even had a vasectomy. You know, it's a bit personal in a way. People started to say, when are you going to have a third? Your boys are getting older, when are you going to have a third? Over and over. And I just go like, yeah, we'd love a third. Because I didn't want to explain it to them. So constantly, when are you going to have a third? Oh, don't you want a little girl? It was very painful to hear that all the time. I heard it every single month from people. It was getting to be really hard on my heart. On top of it, our sons are like, oh, we want a sibling. And it's like, we'd love to give you a sibling. After a while, my husband just accepted it. He's like, we're not going to have a third child. We're not going to do it. It just can't. Let's just be happy with the boys we have. And I was like, oh, I know, but I'm starting to get older. And he's like, we've already had so many years go by now. We have amazing sons. Every story is different. I want to just say that. When someone's struggling to even have a first, that is a very hard thing to go through. But even though I wanted a third, that was still hard for me too, okay? There was still a struggle of yearning and longing. People were like, oh, why don't you adopt? So I started looking into adoption and I was like, adoption's way more money. Like literally, it's way more money to adopt. That's not gonna happen. 9 years after the vasectomy, my husband got a raise. It was so great. We were able to make ends meet all the time. We were able to save more. So finally, my husband and I were talking and he's like, you know what? We could do the reversal. And so I look into the facility that I originally looked into and it's gone. I was like, the place is gone. So now what? So then I'm looking into urologists around the area and I find one, a Dr. Eric Seaman, and he laughs about his name. Yeah. Like, I guess he gets a lot of comments on his name being Seaman, but it's spelled S-E-A. You know, like C, not, anyway. I reach out to the office and I said, hey, my husband and I are interested in getting him a reversal vasectomy. How much does it cost? What does it entail? Blah, 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 blah. They reach out. They said, it's going to be $9,000, 2 payments. And I'm like, wow, it's even more than the $6,000 one, but 2 payments. You know, a lot of people were recommending to me in my research, they were talking about some reversal doctor in Oklahoma. I said, yeah, but then I have to fly out there. It costs money to fly and it's going to cost around the same money anyway. We were like, let's just stick with New Jersey. I started looking into these forums and different places to see if other people had reversal surgeries that were successful, that were about 10 years, and I didn't find any. Everyone that had reversal surgeries, it was like, 4 years, 5 years, 2 years, and they get pregnant like within 6 months. So I'm like, I'm not finding anything. I'm sorry, this is gonna be a long video. You could put me at 2 speed. I listen to YouTube videos at 2 speed. 2018, he gets checked up. Everything's good, but they say, okay, you're going to have an interesting surgery because they literally snipped the vas that connects to, the tube part. was literally snipped. And so they were like, it's going to be a little bit harder, but we could do it. We're going to do our best. That gave us hope because we're like, okay, so then it's doable, right? He goes in for his surgery and I'm sitting in the waiting room for several hours. And eventually the doctor comes out to me. He was so nice, by the way. Definitely recommend him. He comes out, he draws a picture of a penis. He had to really fix it and he had to attach a part to it. And then he had to lift my husband's scrotum a little bit because of the fact that he said the vasectomy doctor, he's like, whatever he did, he really got the job done. And he like did it kind of sloppily. Like he literally was mocking the guy that did the vasectomy. And I was just like, okay. And I said, but did it work? You know? But he was so good with explaining the process. And he's like, it's good. Everything is connected. It looks good. He's sleeping right now, but when he wakes up, you could come see him. Basically, if you get a vasectomy reversal, you have to wear like special underwear. You have to have ice packs. You really need to have a few days to relax. And it's similar to when he got his vasectomy done. And I asked my husband the other day, he approved of me doing this video, just so everyone knows. He said that the vasectomy, the healing was rougher. I don't know, maybe I'm getting it wrong, but he said that the only problem he had with healing from the reversal was it was uncomfortable because they lifted him. Otherwise, he was fine. He healed a lot faster and he felt so much better with that one. So anyway, what they make you do is they go in for tests after like a month. Yeah, it was like a month later. So you can't have sex for like a whole 6 weeks, guys. You can't do anything for 6 weeks. Very difficult. We go in, he gets checked. I help him out. He had low count sperm. Low count, guys. So, you know, we go in, we're like all excited. Like, is there sperm? They said, there's sperm, but it's a low count. And then they said, but that's to be expected because it's been almost 10 years in between surgeries. And we're like, okay, all right. There's still hope, you know? So we're trying to get pregnant. A few months pass. They ask if he wants to go in for another test. I don't think we went back. We probably should have. It's uncomfortable being in a place where you hear people walking around. So I got some at-home tests that you could get. I got it like on Amazon or something. I think it was like $60. So we got these tests. We tested at home and he had a low count again. And that was after like 4 months. Then a couple months later, we took the test again. I said, let's try again. So we took the test again and it was normal. So I think like 6 months, 6 to 9 months, we got a normal count. And so I was like, cool. So we stopped testing after that. And we keep trying to get pregnant. There were a few times where I was late for my period. I'm very like spot on. My schedule is really good. I've always like been really good at knowing when I ovulate. So I was like, what's going on? Why am I not getting pregnant? I got pregnant so easily in the past. I expected it to be the same, but it wasn't. Month after month, disappointment after disappointment, tears every single month almost. It was really hard. It was really. So, a couple years pass. When people started finding out that we had this surgery, and then again, people were like, are you pregnant? Almost every month again. I'm like, no, if I'm pregnant, I'll let you know. Like, please, if you know I'm already struggling, don't keep asking me if I'm pregnant. I'll tell you. One of my best friends who sadly passed away from a heart attack after having her 7th child. She told me that she knew 2 people that had, this was, I guess, like a year into trying. She said, well, I know 2 people, 2 couples, where they got the surgery done and it took them 3 years to get pregnant. And I was just like, okay, but like how many years in between surgeries was it? Like, she's like, you're gonna get pregnant, I know it. She had it such comments, she's like, oh, you're gonna get pregnant. It'll just be a while, but you're gonna get pregnant. And I'm really sad because she died before I got pregnant, and that was hard. Anyway, she was right. I started looking more into these forums, and I started researching people's stories, and I couldn't find any stories similar to mine. I didn't know anyone who ever had the surgeries. No one. I felt very alone. I didn't think I would cry. Sorry. After looking at all of those things, my husband's like, stop looking at them. It's not helping you. He's like, no one has our story. And I'm like, well, I'm hoping that maybe some of these are a decade in between surgeries. Not that like I think it's amazing that people are able to get pregnant like after 2 years. So when he got the surgery initially, so it was 4 years ago, we announced our pregnancy on the 4th anniversary of his reversal surgery. Took us over 3 years. It took us almost 4 years to get pregnant after reversal surgery. So I'm telling you that it took a long time. All these stories that I read, they were beautiful, but they were bringing me down. They were giving me hope, but they weren't giving me hope because none of them had such a huge length of time. I was getting older, and I kept hearing from people, oh, after 35, your chances of getting pregnant are very low. I felt, I'm done trying. After 2 years, I was done trying. I was like, I'm tired of this emotional roller coaster that we've been on. That's when I said to my husband, I love our sons. I accept it. He's like, good, accept it. He's like, because we're not getting pregnant. And he's like, I'm accepting it. He's like, yes, I'd love more children, but I'm accepting it. I want you to accept it because I'm tired of seeing you crying. He's like, there's no reason for it. He's like, I feel like we wasted our money. He was really like, why'd I go through this if nothing turned out? So I decided, okay, well, the boys are getting much older. So I'm going to enjoy. I was getting close to my 40s. I'm 39 right now. I've only been 39 for a couple months. I was like, oh, I'm going to enjoy my 40s because the boys are going to be like in their 20s and my 40s. I was like, it'll be great. And so I started to accept it. It was really a good feeling. There's still that thing inside, that longing. I decided to live my life. I needed something to get my mind, I guess, off of it all. So I got a full-time job, but then that was difficult too because my family they were so used to me being at home doing everything for them. They were so used to me being around that they all missed me, and it was hard for my husband. He was like, I want you home more. He's like, I feel like I don't see you as much as I did. And my boys, they were so used to seeing me constantly that it was really hard, and then they were adjusting to school. As I tell you this, my oldest son is about to turn 16. My other son is 14. As a result of our story, I know this is so long, I decided to take a lot less hours in my job, and I concentrated more on my family. It was a difficult year prior to that too, like when we stopped trying. Over the summer, my husband and I, we were tired of avoiding my ovulation. Even though we've been married for 18 years, we like sex, okay? Some of us out there have high libidos. I actually bought condoms, like, we could use that. So we used one. He's like, I hate these. I was like, okay, we're done with them. And then he's like, if it happens, it happens. If you get pregnant, you get pregnant. If you don't, he's like, it probably won't happen anyway. I went for like different tests to see if there was anything wrong with me. I was fine. We're like, okay, let's try but not try. So doing that, if I got my period, I was like, okay, it didn't bother me. I had such a peace about me compared to in the past where I was like, well, life goes on, you know? We went to California for our 22nd dating anniversary. We started dating in high school. This was early October. I was supposed to get my period on the actual day of our dating anniversary. And I had originally scheduled it so I wouldn't get it, but something happened that was very weird for my schedule. I don't know. I was on these hormonal vitamins. I really think they affected me. I was taking a vitamin to try to help my hormones, but my hormones, I got them checked and they were fine. So I stopped taking these pills over the summer. Just 2 months, I think it took, where I was off. I was like, I'm tired of buying these things. I don't think they're doing anything for me. I don't think they're helping me. It's weird because I think it like ruined, it messed with my body. I went off of them. My period came at a very strange time. Like it shouldn't have, but like my body completely went kaputs. I was in shock, and then I went to get tested. I was like, what's wrong with me? Why did my period come at this time? And the doctor said, everything looks fine. I was like, okay. And I went for blood work. Turned out the day I went for my blood work was the day I conceived. And the results for my blood work were all normal. They said, you're good. We go to California. The next day was when I was supposed to get my period. And like I said, I'm like clockwork. So I said to my husband, I don't feel like I'm getting my period. He's like, really? I said, I don't feel any symptoms. Usually I feel maybe a little bit of cramping starting. I said, my breasts usually start to hurt. I don't feel like I'm getting my period. And he's like, okay, well, let's enjoy the day. So we did. We enjoyed our day. We went to Disneyland that day. It was very fun. The next day, I start peeing like crazy. Why am I peeing so much? And then I started getting really tired, and I was like, oh, maybe it's jet lag. I was tired like way more than normal. I said to him, you know, when I got pregnant the first 2 times, I was really tired. I said, I might be pregnant. And he's like, okay, well, we'll see. And then we'll take a test we'll wait like maybe tomorrow. I was like, no, I have a test at home. We'll just wait till we get home. Let's just enjoy our vacation. I just said, I'm not going to stress. I'm just going to enjoy. So here I am missing every single day. My husband, he's just like, we were talking, well, if you're pregnant, this. If you're not pregnant, how about we plan to do this next year, like going on this vacation as a family. So we start to like plan things like if I'm pregnant, if I'm not. And it was cute because I literally started to feel pregnant, but I didn't want to have my hopes up too much because I didn't want to be like, here's your period, and then start crying, you know. But I was several days late. It was just very weird how I felt. The day that we go home, we're on the plane, and I am exhausted. I'm so thirsty all the time. We got to Boston, and we decided to drive from Boston. We got a rental because we would have got home a lot later if we flew from Boston. So we decided to get a rental, and we drove back home. I kept falling asleep in the car. I was so drained, so tired. He was tired too because it was hard to sleep in the plane overnight. We get home. He says to me, all right, I'm going to bring the car back to the rental place. And he's like, I'm going to drop it off there. I was going to go pick him up from there. He's like, I'm going to put gas in this car first for them. He goes. As soon as I got inside, I had one pregnancy test that I had, just one. I don't know. It was weird why I had that pregnancy test, but I bought it recently at that point, just in case. I get like, you know, a little cup thing to pee in. I pee in it. I put the stick in for 30 seconds or whatever it said, and then I let it lay. And right away, a big, huge positive mark, very big plus sign shows up. And I go, well, I'm pregnant. Call that. Like, this is all so fast. I wash my hands. I take the stick with me. I go in my car, put the stick in the passenger seat. I drive, and there he is walking. He just got out of the rental place. He had just finished all the stuff for it. As soon as he got to the car, he's about to get in. He's like looking at me like all happy. I'm smiling. And he's starting to get in the car. I'm like, oh, be careful. Don't sit on that. He looks and he sees the positive. He starts crying. He started bawling. He's like, you're pregnant? And I was like, yeah. It was beautiful. It was so beautiful. So plus he's like, I'm just really tired. That's why I'm crying so much. I'm like, yeah. We start like talking about how like excited we were. We were like, okay, when are we going to announce this? I said, well, what if I lose the baby? I don't want to announce it until 3 months. And he's like, okay, what about the boys? Are we going to tell the boys? I said, we have to tell the boys right away. He's like, okay. So we go to pick up our oldest son first from school at the high school. We go and pick up our other son from his middle school, and we're driving. And my husband's like, he asked the oldest son, how do you enjoy being an older brother? He's like, well, you know, sometimes he's a little annoying, but I love him, and it's good to be a big brother. And we asked the other one, like, how do you enjoy being a younger brother? He blah, blah, blah. So they were both talking about each other. And then my husband, he's like, well, just like how the older one cares for you, you're going to have to care for someone too soon. All of a sudden, like, it dawned right away on the younger one. He starts sobbing. And then all of a sudden it clicks in the older one and he starts crying. Not as much as the other one, but he starts crying. The younger son has always wanted to be an older brother, always. So he was so happy, so excited. They're crying and they're like, we're having a sibling? We're like, yup. Mama's pregnant. They were really happy. It was beautiful. A part of me like didn't accept that I was pregnant. Once I got checked up, they took a picture. I said like, there's a baby in there, right? They're like, there's a baby. I was like, wow, there's actually a baby. Here I am, 39 years old. Last time I was pregnant, I was 25. The reversal surgery worked. So thanks for sticking around. I know this is a really long video. There are so many people out there probably looking. Like I said, I was looking for stories too. I understand what you're going through. And a lot of people out there do understand what you're going through. And it's not easy at all. Hang in there. If you get a reversal surgery, don't give up. For all I know, I could have got pregnant a year ago, but I wasn't trying. But it's okay. The timing was right. Thanks for watching. I hope this isn't cold. It's cold. If you have any questions for me about anything like pregnancy related or not, or reversal surgery related, just send me a message. Like if it's on Instagram or in the comment section, I will comment back. And just so you know, I'm cheering you all on. I'm looking forward to meeting this little one. I don't know if it's a boy or a girl yet. I find out at the end of this month. I'm 4 months pregnant once again. I'm 18 weeks pregnant. Have a good one.